Life.
Hey loves, I'm stopping by really quickly just to let you guys know about my new merchandise that I recently put out. You guys asked and I delivered. You can now pick up your Pick Me Nation t-shirts, you guys. I also have Winter is Here merchandise. And I also have Who You Want, Gotta Want You t-shirts as well. So make sure you go and support. It is the holiday times. Definitely go pick up a shirt or a mug for your mother, your fathers, your sisters, brothers, your husband, wife. Make sure you go and support. I have those shirts available now. What up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee. Welcome back to the channel. So I am back with another video for you guys. Now, in this particular video clip, Ebony K Williams is talking about her choices when it comes to dating and relationships and why, she's choosing the way she's choosing. But the thing about her explanation is she brings up Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker, Kandi's soon-to-be ex-husband. She brings up their relationship and what's happening with them, getting a divorce. And she kind of explains why she moves the way she moves. And she, is kind of using that as reasoning as to why she's choosing to be, in the position that she's in and why she's looking for a type of man. And also, kind of alluding to why, her bus driver, the bus driver conversation was such a big deal because, when she wouldn't choose a bus driver, but if he owns the bus, basically why she would choose a man who's making more money, and alluding to Kandi and Todd's situation as to something she doesn't want. So I want to play the clip, and shout out to O'Shea Jackson because this clip comes from O'Shea. I want you guys to chime in the comments. I want to get your thoughts on Ebony K Williams and what she had to say. And also let me know what you think about the whole Kandi and Todd situation as well. If you pay attention to them and the fact that they're getting divorced and what played into it. I have my thoughts on that. If you guys want to see a separate video on that, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll definitely do that for you. But let's go ahead and get into this particular video. Here we go.
As you guys know, there's a big situation with Kandi Burruss. I believe she was in Escape, if I'm not mistaken, and Todd Tucker. And like I said, they have been together, but she filed for divorce on November 21st. And after she filed for divorce, she found out that he was talking to other women behind her back. Now, obviously, they have been on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and the whole conversation is about the fact that he is now asking for spousal support, and she don't really want to pay that.
Right now, before we continue, let's keep in mind too, Kandi and Todd, they have been very open about their threesomes and inviting other people into their bedroom. So they've been very vocal about that, and y'all know my opinion on that. Hey, listen. Different folks, different strokes for different folks. You do what you want to do, but I have always said that I thought that was a recipe for disaster. I thought that that's a slippery slope. When you start doing that, it's going to cause some type of tension in a relationship. And usually when people become swingers or have open marriages or invite other people into their bedrooms, it always become an issue because either one person steps out of the rules that they have in place, or either there's no rules. And, a lot of times when it's supposed to be, the 3 or 4 or however many together, usually people start dipping and then doing it on the side. Usually they go outside of that and they start doing it with the other person because they enjoyed it or whatever. It never sticks with all of you in the menage a trois. It's always somebody goes out and start doing something outside of the rules that you set or the lack thereof. This is why I'm not surprised. And they're allegedly saying that Todd stepped out. I don't know. They're saying that he was talking to other people. There's lots of rumors out here about Todd, but I'm going to say allegedly because I don't know if they're all true or if any of them are true. But if it is the case that he stepped out, that could be part of, a side effect of the fact that they had this open situation where they did threesomes and all. The Candies talked about it. And that could be that if that's the case. Now, I don't know if that's the case, but I'm just saying, if that is, to me, this is the slippery slope that I was talking about when you open your marriage up to that type of thing. That's just my thoughts on that, but let's continue.
That's what everybody is talking about. And now she's talking about she's focusing on protecting her peace and co-parenting for the 2 kids they have together, right? But now, guess who is also in the mix? This is Ebony K Williams. So Ebony K Williams and Carlos King were having a live stream discussion, and Ebony K Williams decided to throw herself as an attorney and also her own life experience, and then black women as a whole, because black women, obviously, there's a sort of situation going on where you see a lot more successful women marrying or dating men that don't have as much money. And this is what Ebony is saying.
I am not calling Todd Tucker a bus driver at all. I believe that Todd was a working individual, that he brought many things to the table, and Kandi made sure we knew that. But the discrepancy is undisputed. The financial discrepancy between herself and Todd remained severe.
You are a woman of means, you are a highly educated woman, and you are a celebrity. Based on the fact that the financial difference between Kandi and Todd entering the relationship, asking for, possible child support alimony, are these the reasons why you felt so strongly about not dating a bus driver?
Very much a part, not exclusively, but a very real part of why I personally, this is a me decision. Each woman, each man, each person gets to make this decision for themselves. But for me, this would not be a risk I would be willing to take. And that's based on a few things, right, Raindrops? It's based off my personal value system. I'm very old school. I'm very much of the traditional mindset that I think men in this nation, we live in a patriarchy. And I believe that men, despite challenges that they also go through, I think they are put in best position to climb the capitalism ladder of this nation based off of male patriarchal systems.
So she starts off by saying, in no way is Todd Tucker a bus driver. However, it is obvious that she, Kandi Burruss, makes a lot more money than Todd Tucker.
Right. And my thing is this too, and I will say, listen, she basically says she's old school, Ebony K Williams. She's old school, and she basically believes that the man should be the provider and the head of the household. Because that would an old school situation or relationship would have been like. But what I think Ebony K Williams is not really realizing is that we're not in those times anymore. Things have changed, and as vocal as women are about, them not being their grandmothers, and they can vote and they can work and they can do things, pointing to a time when that wasn't feasible for women. Its times have changed. So now that the fact that a lot of women can make a lot more money and they can work and we're no longer in that traditional society where it's just men working and women are, just supposed to be in the home, just, rearing the children and cooking the food and taking care of the household. They can work. They are entrepreneurs, as, Ebony K Williams herself and Kandi are successful women. They're able to work now. So that means things are not in a traditional way. So you're not going to be able to, for the most part, have that tradition in the way that you think you should. If you've worked your entire life as a woman and a man, y'all are both able to climb the corporate ladder. So there's no, nothing holding you back. You can no longer, in my opinion, point to the patriarchy as some type of superiority, because women are doing the same thing, and you can make as much money, if not more money, than men as well, depending on what you do for a living. So there's this hierarchy when it comes to men versus women. Y'all are considered equal. And I think women aren't prepared or were prepared or thought about the fact that now that they didn't add up the costs when they start climbing the corporate ladder and making all this money, becoming, attorneys as Black women and doing all these things. You didn't think or imagine that you, in some cases, because it's men, Black women do not make more than Black men across the board, but there are a small percentage of them that do. And the ones that do are having a difficult time finding men who make what they make or more. And that is what a lot of these successful women are looking for, because not only is it the fact that they don't think that a man will be able to thrive in a relationship with a woman making more, that somehow is going to tear down his fragile ego, or that he's going to feel less than because his wife makes more. Not only that, I think these women, they just didn't prepare for the fact that this might be an issue, that most men want more traditional relationships. Now, while I think that a lot of women are delusional in their thinking, and they didn't think about this change and how this was going to affect marriages and relationships, but I think they're also taking the wrong approach. They're looking solely on finances. And I don't think that you should approach a relationship solely based on finances. And I think the reason why women do that is because they're the ones making the money. So when the women make money, their focus is on financial success for the man, even though they are successful in that area. When we think about women who look for successful men who are not as successful as the men, their focus, it's not such a big deal. Then when they make less, when women make less, they look for men who make more. And the men don't say, oh, I'm looking for a woman who makes more than me, or I can't be with her, she's somehow less than. It's only women who are now able to make money and be successful financially. They're the only ones now who are looking at finances as a prerequisite to the point. Not a man, not only can he not only just the fact that he may be successful, but he has to rise to a certain level of success. He has to make what she makes or more for him to be credible and valuable in her eyes, because they like to put it on the man having an issue with it. But no, it's the women who don't know how to be in a relationship with a man who's making less, because she knows that she's not going to value him as much. She's not going to respect him because of her own traditional mindset of a man having to be, or looking at to be, as the provider. She feels like if he can't provide on her level, because it's not even just the level of idea of providing, it's the level of provision, because it has to be to her standard, because she's worked hard and she's done well for herself. So now it's not the fact that he has to provide, he has to provide on your standard of living. And I think when you have successful women who've provided for themselves, you've created a certain lifestyle for yourself, you didn't have a man in the midst of this, you did it all by yourself. Now it's going to be naturally more difficult for you to get a man who makes less, because you feel like you've worked hard, you've provided a certain lifestyle for yourself, and he has to come in and maintain that lifestyle. It's not about you working together with him, but if you made less and he made more, you wouldn't think that way. It's only when women are more successful than men when they think this way. And this is why those particular women struggle with relationships, because like she says, you will not settle, because in your mind you're settling because you think, oh, if he makes less, oh no, I'm not going to settle. He has to come in and do what I need him to do on my level, or it's not worth it. So this is why a lot of successful women will be single. They will be by themselves, because most men don't want to deal with those types of women. And it's not because they're insecure. It's not because they don't know how to take care of a woman. It's just you've already established your life the way you want it. And he may not agree with the way you're living your life. He may not want a life the way you come into your established life. He wants to establish his own. So I think those particular women have a hard time because of that. It's not that men are insecure and they just can't handle your success. I think you yourself is kind of put yourself in a position to where it's a position that most men don't want to come into. They want to build with somebody, not come into your lifestyle that you've created. He doesn't want to be added on to that. He wants to be a part of it. And I think it's difficult for men to do that with women who think like Ebony K Williams and others who are super successful like that. She can't fathom the idea of a man coming in and not creating something more than what she's already established. So that's why she said it. She said she would not settle. She won't. And so that's going to yield her single. Let's continue.
So Ebony K Williams, is saying, listen, this is not for me. I am from the old school, and men have a lot more opportunity to earn more money than women do because of this patriarchal society. So if men have that opportunity, and I understand it's hard, they should be the ones to provide for a woman. Now, let me just say this. What can be debated in this context? Because women say this is a patriarchal society. And clearly, I'll just be honest and tell you, women are getting a lot more opportunities than many times men do. Okay. And so this whole patriarchal society, I sometimes don't know what you're talking about. I can tell you that the DI hires, when it happened, were women. You have so many corporations trying to get in line with women's rights, not only in America, in Uganda. Whenever you see Women's Day on March 8th, you'll see so many companies celebrating Women's Day, celebrating women in business. You know, you'll see big companies, Johnny Walker, Bailey's, doing everything to cater towards women. The reality is that one of the reasons why men typically make more money than women, it has to do, and I hate to say this, but we're going to be honest, she's discounting the effort that men put in. That's one of the things that happens. Men who want to be successful are severely obsessed, severely motivated with that. And on average, I believe that almost anybody can prove that male owners, CEO owners who are rich are going to put more time in on average than women. And that's what makes men providers. That's what makes men protectors. It's a biological thing. This is not everybody, but this is what is going on. All right. And so the reality is that if you are a man and you have done so, you don't necessarily need a woman like Ebony K Williams, who by all means is beautiful, by all means is intelligent. But once a man has built himself up to that position, I don't care if you went to law school. I don't care if you went to medical school. I went to medical school and don't care about somebody who went to medical school. I care about if we are compatible, and I can be more selective because you know what? If I can get to be the top 5 or 10% of all men, then what happens is this: you have to be what I want. See, women can talk about what a man needs to be. That's your prerogative. But if you're going to be with me, you're going to have to be what I want.
Right. And so that's the difference. And I think women don't want to see that or acknowledge that because it's all about them. And they believe in their minds that they get to make those decisions and that you don't. You know, you have to be what the man wants in order for him to be with you. And I think, you know, women could go after the type of guy that you want all day. You can go after the millionaires and the men who make more money than you, but he has to want you in return. So yeah, while your preference might be a certain type of guy making a certain type of money or on this certain level, social, you know, economic level or whatever, socioeconomic level or whatever. But if he's not checking for you, if you don't have the qualities that he wanted in a woman because he is established, this is why a lot of those women are single. And for women to say, oh, I will not settle, it doesn't make sense. It means the guy you want don't want to settle for you. So it goes back to that idea of men being the prize, that the man is the prize because ultimately the man that you want has to want you. And that's the only type of guy that you would be interested in. Because if he makes less, if he's not 6 feet tall, if he doesn't have the things that you want, you don't want him. But the men that you do want don't want you. So you're not settling. You can't get the guys that you want because the guys that you don't want, they don't matter. They're not on your radar as it is. So the guys that are on your radar, if they don't want you, it's not you settling. It means the guys that you want don't want you. So that means either you're going to have to change some things, focus on what's most important, stop thinking that because you have the degrees and you make so much money that you're special. And the men that you want show you every day that you're not special because what you have, they don't need. And they don't want you. Something about you is not appealing to them. So that means the guys that you think are on your level, you are not on their level. Their level is something that you don't want to accept because the level is not them basing a woman on her education, on how much money she makes, but their level is a woman who's more submissive, a woman who is more cooperative, a woman who's fit, a woman who's beautiful, a woman who wants to get on their program and okay with it. That's the very thing that those men are looking for. And that is exactly the thing that these educated women don't want to do. So this is why you end up single. You have to compromise. It is not settling, but you have to compromise. You have to compromise with the person who actually want to be with you. And the guys who would want to be with you, you don't want them. So what do you think is going to happen? Y'all going to be by yourselves. And that's just what it is. It's not a mean thing or a bashing thing. It's the reality of where a lot of these women are. They didn't think about the cost of them putting themselves in such a high position. And on top of that, having the mentality that goes with it, because you could be very successful as a woman, but it doesn't mean you have to have a negative attitude or think that your money makes you more special than a man who's trying to come in and court you and date you, have all the qualities of a good man, but he doesn't make the dollar amount of money that you make. He could be super successful, but if he doesn't make the dollar amount that you make, you disqualify him. So once again, I think a lot of these women have priced themselves out. They put themselves in these positions, and then they're thinking that they're settling for somebody who makes less than what they make, when in actuality, it's not you settling. It's the men that you want who would be settling for you. So listen, y'all let me know what you think in the comments below. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this. Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson once again. Make sure you support this channel if you haven't already. Comment, like, subscribe, hit that bell to be notified when I upload new content. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.
DeeDeesReactions. Tell a friend.